At the backdrop of the Cold War was the formation of the non-aligned movement in 1961. And this was, of course, informed by the view that there is need for a multipolar world system. We shouldn't, sway either to this side or this other side. And we need an alternative opinion towards shaping global policies and other things therein. This year, these 120 countries that have ever since grown to that number convened in Kampala for a period of about 5 days. And, the theme is deepening cooperation for, deepening cooperation for shared global affluence. So what does this mean for Uganda? I mean, hosting this for the very first time is the 19th conference of its kind. So we're here to discuss what this means for Uganda and also, other countries therein. And to put all this into perspective, viewers, is a panel of distinguished young people, very eminent in their own right and stature. And I shall introduce them to you and in no particular order. From the Uganda Young Democrats is its president and His Excellency Ismail Kiirya. Kiirya, Happy New Year, and we're happy to have you for the first time this year.
Happy New Year too. I'm really happy to be here for the first time in 2024. Yeah. Kiryya Ismail is my name. I'm the president of the Uganda Young Democrats. I'm also the president of the Young Democrat Union of Africa. I'm really happy to rub shoulders with these honorable members here with me. And I'm also happy to share my views in this 2024. Thank you.
Very interesting. Next to Ismail is a gentleman who, if you followed this show last year religiously, this face was very common, more so in the first half of the year. The name is Francis Agaba. Agaba is a lawyer, but also he's the leader or the president of the Alliance for National Transformation Youth League. Nelson, we are happy to have you. And
yeah, thank you, Kidega, the moderator of today's show. To the viewers, good afternoon, and I'm glad I'm here. Happy New Year 2024. We now say resolutions. Yes, resolutions of the year. So I look forward to, to a conversation. We are now global and international. Yeah. That's one of the benefits of NAM. Before even we get into the details, we are now discussing international issues. Yes.
Quite interesting.
Thank you.
And I hope we can delve deeper into them. Well, next to myself and next to Agaba is a gentleman all the way from Kiryadongo district. And he serves on the Youth Council of Kiryadongo, but also he coordinates the debate tournament at UNSA. The name is Tumwesige Collins Derick. Derick is the first time on the show, and we're very happy to have you.
Happy to have you too, Mr. Kidega. Happy New Year. I'm happy to be here for the first time, and really I'm so happy to meet the likes of Kiirya and Agaba. And to our viewers, I'm so happy to be here today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, very interesting. Let us cut to the chase, and I'll begin with you, Mr. President, sir. Just for the viewer who is joining us for the very first time, but also someone who is hearing NAM for the very first time. And I can assure you that so many out there. What is this NAM thing?
Yeah, thank you once again. The NAM, it is an acronym to mean the non-aligned movement. And just to give it perspective and, the background is that in the, after the World War, which was the 1914-19, that was the First World War. Then the Second World War, we saw it ending in 1945, with the fall of the most, of the time dictator, Hitler. Then thereafter, we saw organizations come up. The United Nations and other organizations came through. But in between, we saw there was so much of power blockers here. That was the US, the United States of America, and the former Soviet Union. We call it former Soviet Union. Present day standing is Russia because it fell. It lost the grip of its colonies and the super power it was holding then. So it's the former Soviet Union. So there was that period of the Cold War. That was between 1950s to the 60s. That was the Cold War system, especially when you hear of the Crimean Cold War, the 1953, 54, going forward. So at that point in time, we saw now most of the African and global South countries were starting to regain their independence from their former colonies. And here, former colonies who are, most of them Europe. And they were one, very young, two, they really literally, had little knowledge of how to align themselves, whether to be, pro-West, which was dominantly USA, or pro the East, then the USSR, former the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And an idea, that's how now the non-aligned movement in 1961 got formed by formerly the first 29 or so countries to say, look, for us, we are going to have a neutral position. We shall not stand in for the US or former Soviet Union, the present day Russia, largely to say. And so they form it. And membership has been increasing. So it was formed on a number of principles. There are about 10 principles. And the number one principle is the respect of human rights. Then you will hear of where states are so equal, then equality. No big state, no smaller states. Then the principles on
democracy.
Democracy, territorial sovereignty, of every state, and many others. So that's how it came in, largely to ensure that they can have a more or less uniform voice. It has a number of summits have been held, and amendments, declarations made on how they can move forward. So here, Uganda, we are privileged that we are hosting the 19th summit of the non-aligned movement. And just to tell Ugandans and out there that one, as Uganda, it's a privilege because it's a global competition. Before, because you have to do the internal competition at the African Union level. Uganda had to go through that stiff competition. Then the African Union, had now to back Uganda to compete with others. And that's how we came through. Now we are hosting it here in Kampala, Munyonyo, at the Speak Convention Center.
Interesting.
The non-aligned movement, Uganda.
Very interesting. Just before we get into the nitty-gritties, I'd like to first explore more of the history and how we find ourselves here. So Kiirya, I know Agaba has given us insight in terms of history, but I want to hear it in your own words. What is this NAM thing? And from the Young Democratic point of view, how do you perceive it?
Now, I would like first of all to thank Agaba. He has actually tried to bring out the whole picture of the non-aligned movement. But just in my own words, how I understand it is that now after the World War, we had religious wars, we had ideological wars, and we have so many wars. And on ideology, we have those on the capitalists, we have the socialists. And the West and East, all of them actually were looking for allies. Who is with us? Who is with them? You understand? So now, this movement came out to say that now, for us, we are non-aligned. We are not either socialist or capitalist. However, we can go for the good in each and every ideology. However, we can go for the good in each and every religious perspective. So that's how they came up with such a movement to unite all the political spheres and all the countries, regardless of the political ideology, regardless of the religious perspective in that regard. However, I think I'll be so much interested to discuss in detail in line with the young people. Because the non-aligned movement, the way it is being organized, first of all, I want to congratulate Uganda as a country. to have that audacity of organizing such a very big forum. We have, first of all, we have just organized a very big event. We are now in NAM, G77, AFCON is coming. That one is an opportunity for us actually to grow and also to prove that actually we are stable as far as in economic, political, and security-wise. That's one. But I think as the states are sitting, we need to focus more, as they are focusing more on environment, they're focusing more on security. We need also to bring in an aspect of the young people. When you try to, yesterday I tried to follow the conversation, but it was more on the environment, security, and other forums. But even the delegates actually who have come, you may not find actually the delegate who is looking like Kidega, who is looking like Agaba, who is looking like me. You find that actually delegates, actually, those are people who are in the 60s, 50s.
Senior government officials.
Senior government officials. But I think we need to start now involving the young people, because now we are the people who are going to be in 50s and 60s. But if you don't have now that experience of now rubbing shoulders with other countries and also organizing with other people, then in most cases actually they are trying to actually now to phase out something which may be so much important to the young people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then secondly, I thought as the young people of the country would benefit so much in NAM. Because what I've realized that actually the NAM talk is in above, is actually on top, is in actually so much in elites. But when you go in the local people, they are not understanding what is NAM.
They don't know yet.
And how are they benefiting from NAM? You understand? So I think it would have been so much important for the government to first sensitize the masses than just ordering them. Actually, when you see the visitors, smile to them. You understand? So people are not understanding, why am I smiling to the visitors? What is so much important? But at least when someone understands that, yes, this is so much important to me, it is so much important to my son or daughter or a friend, then I think they'll be in position to not even ordering them, but they'll be actually doing them without anything.
Voluntarily.
Exactly. Then I'm also happy that what I'm so much happy about NAM is that at least whenever we have such organizations, that's when the government actually wakes up to do some development issues. Yesterday I was in conversation with my friend in Salama Road. He was like, this side actually, we are celebrating the road has been yes. You understand?
Interesting.
So I think as the government is now organizing to prepare for the guests and so on, the same treat of the guests is required for the citizens. The guests are coming here because of the citizens. If Uganda didn't have citizens, then the guests will not actually have an opportunity to come to Uganda. You understand? So the good roads you're trying to work on, the potholes you're working on, the airport, the what, that's what the citizens want. More so the young people. Secondly, we need also to involve more so the young people. Because there is no way how Ugandans are going to appreciate NAM when it is just disorganizing them. Someone who had where he's working from, he has been disorganized. So how am I going to appreciate it? So I think let us try to work so that we can involve even the people, so that even someone who is on the roadside can still work when the visitors are there. The young people who are now being disorganized with the roads and so on, I think let us also try to see how best we can incorporate all the people so that we can actually appreciate the system and so on. Otherwise, I'm really happy, but I think we need actually to work on such things so that actually the whole country can be in position actually to appreciate the whole system. Otherwise, if we leave it on top, then the government actually will be at the loggerhead of now with the protesters and those actually who are citizens who are appreciating and so on and so on. So I think that's how I'm trying to see it.
Wow, very interesting. Derick, we are still in the context of this conversation, and I want to hear it also from your own words. What is NAM? Because to those young people who you lead in Kiryadongo, I don't even know if they understand. Oh my God. Well, what is NAM to you, and what does it mean for the people, for the young people?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kidega. To start with, I want to thank Kiirya and Agaba that have surely given a preamble of what NAM is. However, when you go back to the young people down there, they don't understand it at all. Last week, I tried to make research just in Kampala here among the young people that we interact with, if they understand what NAM is all about. But out of 10, you find 2 or 1 understanding NAM. Now, this one takes me back to the organizers. That the organizers of this particular event, they have failed completely to do publicity about it. That you find that the young people, they're not informed. Some of them, they are being caught offside. They are seeing security all over town. They don't understand what is going on. And when you try to interact with the organizers, they tell you, no, we have done publicity, but where is it? So as a country, surely we have failed to utilize the opportunities that come with such kind of organizations. That NAM has come. What do we benefit as a country? And how do we work on our PR? Kiryya is telling you, the minister the other day was telling people to smile on the roadside. But is that the way to convince people to benefit from this NAM? When these presidents come, for instance, let them know what we face as a country. That if we have challenges in the country, how can we fight those challenges? Not that for us, let's just go on the roadside to smile. At the end of the day, we face the problems. You get it? So the young people outside there, they don't understand what is NAM is all about. But this one takes us back to the leaders. And the government has to utilize this NAM as it is in our country, as it is being hosted in Kampala. How do the person who is in Kiryadongo, the person who is far away in Masaka, how can they utilize this and benefit, however much they are not here in Kampala? The people who are at the venue, let them preach to them that we have some tourist attraction activities in Uganda, like Wachizon Falls. We have the Kabalega International Airport. Let's discuss some of those things in this particular event. When we are here, where do these people also sleep? Let's tell them about the source of the Nile. That's how a young person who is there will benefit from it. Otherwise, when we continue only discussing issues like diplomatic issues, I heard yesterday they were talking about Palestine. The young person down there will not understand Palestine. When you are disorganizing them in Kampala, you are killing them every day, you don't want them to move freely. So, as a young person, I will instead cash now. You get it? So, I want to implore government that as this NAM is going on, the summit is going on, let's talk, let's publicize the tourist activities that are in our country. Let's not force people to go on the streets to laugh. No, that's not really good.
It's uncalled for.
It is uncalled for. So that's how I would say that as a country we can benefit. But however, Mr. Kidega, you realize that as a country we rely so much on borrowed money. A number of people are asking themselves, where is the money coming from that is organizing this now? The other day, yesterday but one, I got an opportunity to interact with Kidega Moses, the Minister of Information and ICT. He was telling me that they have not borrowed any money. But you'd ask yourself, where is it coming from? You get it? But all of them, they are silent about it. They will tell you that these countries that are participating, they are contributing. That's not true. That's not true. This money, any sane person outside there will tell you that Uganda borrowed this money to organize this summit.
Okay. Is the principal issue that borrowing is bad, or how you use the money that you've borrowed? I think borrowing for any country or for any state should not be a bad thing per se, but how you use the money that you've borrowed is, I think, what matters the most.
Yes.
The USA is one of the most highly indebted countries, but they use the money for infrastructure development to empower the population. So yeah, but I get where you're coming from, that it's an issue of planning and preparation. That why do we have to wait for the tail end for us to now begin to panic to see how to get this money, whether to borrow it or otherwise. But yeah, you can continue with your point.
Yes. Yeah, borrowing is very fine, Mr. Kidega. But how do you use that money?
Yeah.
You have seen it that in the last 2 weeks, these people have been doing everything out of panic. You have been seeing them planting flowers everywhere. But how sustainable are these flowers going to stay in Kampala? You have been seeing them working on the potholes. People all over the country have been crying of bad roads throughout the whole of last year. But now they've been working on the potholes. But do you think when the summit is done, will they do the same? They will not. Kiirya has told you here that let it not be only about the summit. That if you are working, if you borrowed the money, fine, and you are putting services together, you are creating infrastructure development, let it be maintained. Let it not only end with the summit. You saw with Chogam. By then I was in 2007, is it P5? I think P5 or P6, something of that kind. Chogam came. Even somehow you saw they even brought the currency, the Chogam currency. But a number of things went with Chogam. If at all we had maintained the pace at which Chogam was organized, Uganda would be very far. If you see the pace at which the NAM summit has been organized, I'm telling you, you would say next week and the years to come, Ugandans shall be living a happy life. But that will end on Sunday or Saturday. When is the summit is ending on Saturday?
On Friday, then G77 I think kicks off on Saturday.
Oh, that will end there and there.
After,
But now, we don't need to always continue to be driven in a kangaroo style. You get it? Our leaders need to style up. We as people in the country, we also need those services. We don't only need to be happy to enjoy these services when we have these summits. No. We need them. As these people come, let them find us when we're happy. Not only to be forced to smile that someone is passing a gun, stand on the road, say to smile. No. So, our leaders, surely, as they do this, they should know that these services shouldn't only end with the summit. You get it? I saw KCC, the executive director saying, even the minister for KCC saying that everything is at 99%. But when you move in the outskirts of Kampala, I stay here in Namambe, and if you move in Kaleiri, you will see that Kaleiri is very different. You may think it's not in Kampala. But when you move at Salama Road, the express, here, where is it?
Munyonyo.
Yesterday I was shocked. I even took a pic of some gentlemen who were cleaning the roads with water. I said, what's going on here? I laughed. Just because they want to convince the visitors that in Uganda we are very okay. So that they borrow more money. They borrow the money, at the end of the day, the money is swindled. You get the point? So, really, as a country, we are still lacking a lot.
Interesting.
Yes, please.
Wow, very interesting. Nelson, let me get to you. I am not a very staunch Christian, but at least I know that Matthew 7:16 says that we shall be known by our deeds and works. We are saying that, people don't know NAM, we don't know NAM, but is it because NAM is not doing what it was set out to do in the first place? And that's why people are not getting to know about it. Because I think if they were doing the things that they were set out to do, when an issue happens in a country X or Y, NAM puts out a statement, or NAM is seen to try and agitate, so do you think that their inaction or the complacency of NAM as an organization has made it have the cry that it's having to, that people don't know about it at all?
Yeah, just to mention, I think one, the non-aligned movement has not been so vocal, just to speak. It has not been so live to global issues the way we hear about United Nations, the African Union. It has been a lukewarm kind of platform. So without lamentation and all that, now the burden befalls on us, Uganda, who are taking up the chairmanship for the next 3 years. You know, to make it, visible, to make it known, by standing, board on issues, on international issues. That's how these organizations get to be known.
Because I mean, just of recent is Israel and Palestine.
Yeah,
I didn't see the
and
countries.
You saw how yesterday it was all over the debate. You saw the Palestinian ambassador was trying to agitate for a declaration and a resolution to be taken here in Kampala in what is happening, between, what is happening in Gaza. And all that. But one is that for NAM to really be known beyond Uganda, because now, as Ugandans, we have an opportunity now to discuss NAM. That's why we are on this forum now discussing what non-aligned movement is. Before, perhaps we didn't have that knowledge about it. So it befalls on us as a country to to give heavy publicity about what non-aligned movement is about. Its objectives, what it has achieved, what it is looking forward to doing, all that. It gives visibility to the organization. But also, you well know that NAM now is the second largest kind of platform that brings together, countries after the United Nations. These are about, 120 countries. Uganda is being given a chance to interact, with 120 countries, as Uganda is the chairman, is taking over the chairmanship of the NAM.
Yeah.
Mr. Kiirya was mentioning about, young people and all that. We are now, you saw in every international fora, there is what we call sideline forums or platforms. Yesterday, events, the business investment fora was a sideline activity where, you saw women also engaging. Yes, therefore, so I also expected, Ndugu Kidega from the National Youth Council to tell us. I was waiting for an invitation to say, be ready to have a sideline meeting of young people, at Munyonyo discussing global issues. So how we discuss it, whatever we discuss, whatever resolutions we take, and how we become active, one as a country being the lead, because they say most cases it is the nature of a leader that gives, that gives strength or life to, to the platform they lead. So Uganda, we really have that, one on the African continent, but also on the global perspective. For me, I need to dwell so much on what are we gaining as Ugandans, because I was, watching TV last night and this morning, and, interviews about, Ugandans are so green about how they are going to benefit on all this and all that. And one of the ways how countries grow their money, it is through foreign exchange. Us being the host of this convention, of this summit, one, there is some, some foreign currency coming in the country, which is good, because that's how money is made. Two, we are having, tourism. Actually, our tourism industry should use this, to its advantage, to popularize Uganda, to project Uganda as an international destination country, because of its savanna, its, flora and fauna kind of, special sites we have. In businesses, we should use this forum to ally for business investment here in the country, because hosting such an event, it's a vote of confidence that there is peace and security, there is relatively, of course, there are other things that we may not go into, because right now, as we host the international summit of this nature, we need to discuss development, not politics. Yes, as much as You have also to ensure that you do not sideline so much of the politics. But at this point in time, whether you're in your position, whether you're in government, you must be able to discuss the development agenda of the country, how we are going to benefit from this forum, from this chairmanship, from, you know, us hosting such kind of large gathering, not even, you know, NAM, but we are seeing the G77, you know, 77 plus China coming in, AFCON is coming. So how do we benefit on those agendas?
Just a question. So from the ANT perspective, all these events that Uganda is hosting, is it a vote of confidence in the stewardship of the NRM? And therefore, it isn't surprising that the NRM has been in power this long, because the confidence in the government is now being evident and it's being seen.
You see, that's why I'm telling you. There are two things in international relations and diplomacy. Okay, there is you put the country first. Okay, when you're dealing with you know, the country as a country, when we are doing in-house issues, we look into our face and say, look, as much as man, you didn't eat too much food on the plate, but we know you guys must have been hungry. You really wanted to take double. You wanted to take a soda, but we told you, please get some. That's why you saw the Minister of Information, of National Guidance and Information, he was saying, you people, you laugh. But sometimes it is hard also to laugh when you're hungry. To laugh
on an empty stomach.
Yeah, on an empty stomach. But that aside, being a Ugandan, who is promoting Uganda? I've been out there and you say I'm from Uganda, it is until you say I'm from Uganda, East African region, Africa. You get it, that they can attach you to say Uganda is a country.
Sure.
So right now, as much as, you know, we have been having weak, you know, systems, the military dictatorship of the country, it is high time we use this platform, you know, for the better good of the country's image out there. It's not that the government is doing so well. It's not that, you know.
Pose the same question to
no. Just a minute, Kidega.
Because Derick, you belong to the NRM. Yes. So I want to pose the same question to Ndugu Kiirya, that do all these global events instill or put confidence in the NRM government's stewardship of the country? Therefore, it isn't surprising that the NRM has been here this long. There is that confidence both locally and internationally. So from the DP perspective, is this a vote of confidence in the NRM?
Thank you so much. But
I want to get back to you.
I may not say that actually it is a vote of confidence to the NRM. It is a vote of confidence to the Republic of Uganda.
Which is being
The Republic of Uganda
which is being
has not started in 1986.
Okay.
It started way back. We got our independence in 1962.
Okay.
So the leaders who have led Uganda since 1962, they are the people who have led for such events. You can find that actually, yes, this government of the NRM has contributed to the inspiring of such events. But you may find that actually the leaders who were there before, the Milton Obotes, the Idi Amin Dadas, the Yusuf Loles, they have a bigger contribution. It can be even 70%. Why? The roads which they are refurbishing and actually trying to do the potholes and so on, they were done by those governments. The hotels which we are appreciating right now, they were constructed by those presidents and the governments. So it is not necessarily that NRM, but the Republic of Uganda. The Republic of Uganda has been constructed or has been made by many people, as the citizens, the leaders, the Europeans, and so on. But back to his point about, you have asked about why is it not popular? You know, something to be popular can come in two things. One, the language. We are at a disadvantage in Uganda that we don't have a national language. We have an official language. And you find that actually this official language, there are some corners of the country where you may not actually find it when people actually in their local language. And the publicity which is being carried out about the non-allied movement. It is on big televisions, which actually where you find English the official language.
Can I
That's
can I
NBS
can I just
and NTV.
can I just disagree with you for a second? Because
Yes.
what I was saying and why I asked is that we shall be known by our works. I think that if the works of NAM are felt by the ordinary person there,
Yes.
you may not need to publicize NAM and put posters because someone will feel that, man, this thing is actually working.
Exactly.
You know, like you won't need to go the extra mile of trying to speak in their language because they would feel it at that level.
Yes, that's where I was coming. It was about language. Then the other thing is about the multiplier effect.
Yes.
If NAM is coming here, how are the local people there feeling it? The feeling is about making business. Are they making business out of it? Are they trying to benefit out of it, maybe with the services? But we are seeing actually services are only in one place. You understand? Then these other people, there is nothing like a service, you understand? So I think if we can try to embark on the national service and not necessarily looking at one event, you bring a service because of that event, then the local people will appreciate. Then as far as the business is concerned, how has government managed actually to bring the things which are going to be used in NAM? For example, the items which are being used in, the items which were used in Speak Resort, where have they come from? Are they from Uganda? The one who had the contract of actually constructing is here Uganda. The workers who are there, what is the percentage of the Ugandans? You understand? So if we get, for example, we have actually some workers from Bunyoro, we have workers in Bukedia, we have some workers in Karamoja, you find that actually people will start feeling it because actually I have my friend who is working in Speak Resort Munyonyo because of this coming conference. You understand? I'm in for example, maybe agriculture. My farm has been booked, the whole of it. My friend has been booked. You understand? The matoke in Imbarara is actually coming this way because of this activity and so on. So that one only can make people understand, yes, there is something which is here and we are benefiting. But once people don't feel that kind of benefit and that multiplier effect, then you find that actually they may not appreciate it so much. And I think actually it is maybe these other conferences where Kidega goes and Agaba, they finish and come
Take
back.
tea and then they
Exactly. So it should be so much different from other conferences whereby the benefits of the local people should basically actually multiply in that conference so that actually everybody in the country can benefit out of it. Road infrastructure, then the agriculture, those in agriculture, they are benefiting. Those in construction, they are benefiting. Those, for example, by now actually we could be at least
those in services.
Yes, exactly. Now, NYC right now, by the way, it will be at the forefront of actually welcoming people. But you find actually those who have been selected, they are people of different people. You understand? But because NYC is national, it has delegates in Karamoja, it has delegates in Mbarara, it has delegates in Usoga, and so on. So if we had actually fronted a certain section of people or a body which represents the whole country, then you find actually that those people will be in position actually to take back the information and trickle down the information to at least give vibe to this now.
Wow, interesting. Yes. Nelson, I had interrupted you, but yes, you can complete your point.
Yeah, so what I was trying to say is that when you say us hosting these international conferences or summits, it's not necessarily a vote of confidence that the NRM regime is doing well. It is work in progress. For example, I've told you, you know the record of human rights here in Uganda. We are really bad off. And principle number one of non-aligned movement is respect of fundamental human rights. You know how we have been doing, where you are even having, certain, press conferences organized out of the country for fear of sabotage, for fear of oppression and repression of by the regime. You have seen our democracy alone is leaping, is full of, it has been militarized and all that. But it is work in progress. It is work in progress that for us who believe that we can do better, once we take charge of this country, we will even, have, a bigger chance to even have this country, to promote the image of our country. Yes. We have so many challenges, but these challenges should not stop a country from growing, a country from progressing. For us, actually, what I'm calling, I call it as a test. We are put on a test. We are put on a test. There is a litmus paper saying, look, Ugandans, you normally claim, to say, why don't you do better? It is something that calls us to do better. It is something that calls us that we can offer good services. For example, we are going to have 100, heads of state, government, here and diplomatic community here. If they feel sick, do we have the bed capacity? Do we have the quality, services? If we had some of these delegates go to visit some of the tourist destinations, is there, quick evacuations of any emergencies? Do we have regional equipped hospitals? You get it? Beyond Kampala, do we have, quality infrastructure in terms of roads to, for access to those tourist sites? That's a call that as Ugandans we need to do better. We shouldn't wait for visitors to come and we are trying to do drainage, to create, a
good impression.
A good impression. No. For me, it is a call to us as Ugandans. What are we talking about on our education sector? This is the moment that, look, we need to think about, what are we thinking about? What are we talking about in the agriculture sector? Food that is being supplied to these hotels, where is it imported from? Is it Ugandan organic food that we try to promote out there, or some of this food has been imported? You get it? So it is a call, it's a wake-up call and a litmus test to see. It's a check on us as Uganda, as also as government, to know we are doing well here, we are not doing well there. We are not doing well in this kind of sector.
Yeah.
And by that, if we really take the lesson seriously, we will do better. Just to say something. You saw the other day, from day one we have been saying, things are good, things are well, but you saw table microphones were not working. And we had somebody to move with the microphone here and there. What does that call for? That, there is a little bit of iniquity in these things. You see, so tomorrow, Ugandans, all hosts of such big events, need now to be put to check that, last time this thing happened and we are ashamed. Can we do better? This is not the first time we are holding such events. True. Such big events. We have had CHOGM, we have had, a Pop come here, we have had the United States President, then Bill Clinton come here, and many other things. So we need to always learn lessons. If we don't learn,
then we shall be like the
Bourbon
monarchy
the Bourbons
of France.
So now you have had, I think I am yet to see. You see, there has been a little bit of delay and so much of swift procurement. You wait, let's wait for scandals that will come. You know that our then Foreign Affairs Minister, Sam Kutesa, after, because of his counterpart was indicted on corruption-related issues, he has, there has been a lot of, he has got bans, travels to the US because of corruption scandals and all that. So do public servants who are really, at the stage of organizing these events, do they take lessons? Do they take lessons that they need to do things better, in the right way, in a better way, offer better service, not only to the visitors, but also to Ugandans.
Who I think are the biggest stakeholders, in fact.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now,
But
you were mentioning
to-
something you saw the other day. This is a lesson.
In a minute.
When you're having visitors and you're saying people, from the side road vendors, go away. That is a call to you that look, you need to have had organized markets for these people where they should be doing their trade. You get the point. Not to chase them away. So what will happen? They will come back. You get it?
Yeah.
So it is a call that
So
we need to have.
it is not
You are
sustainable.
chasing away borders. That please don't have border stages. Near these centers where these people, visitors, are going to sleep. They should not see you people. You get it? No. The call on Uganda is to say, look, you need to have organized transport system in the country, which is international, which is modern.
Yeah, I see you're dragging us towards the tail end of the conversation, but
it is something that we need also to discuss.
True. Before you take a short commercial break, I want to explore something with Derick. Derick, I pose the question to these two gentlemen, and they belong to opposition political parties. You proudly belong to the NRM. So when these events are coming into the country, from the NRM youth perspective, do you feel that, wow, our party or the party that is in government now indeed has confidence from the international community, but also locally? Does this boost, does this, aid the NRM's bid for continuous governance of this country?
Yeah, thank you very
But
much.
also, if you hear what Francis was saying, Nelson was saying, the aspect of, does Uganda conform to the principles of the non-aligned movement? Issues of human rights, issues of democracy, issues of respect for territorial integrity. So how do you perceive Uganda and the performance of the NRM with regards to the global perspective?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank President Yoweri Museveni for the leadership he has offered. That hosting such summits, it shows the kind of confidence the international community has in him. I want to disagree with my fellows that are saying that it is about service in progress. There is no way that a country can host such an international summit when they have no confidence in it. One, there must be peace. And in a country, we need to appreciate that we have peace. President Museveni has allowed everyone to live independently in this country. That's why you find that everyone can talk what they want.
But just to interject, if you may allow, you see, peace is not absence of war. Peace should be about, where there is rule of law, fairness. That is the peace.
I'm coming to that.
Service delivery.
I'm coming to that.
So that should be the peace we should be talking. Peace is not infrastructure.
You see,
peace
Nelson,
is not absence of war.
Nelson, you just hijacked. I was coming to that. Mr. Kidega, if you look at what Nelson is talking about, that rule of law, in Uganda, we always see the opposition crying that they are being mistreated. But when they ask them to provide evidence, of recent I saw on TV the chairperson of Uganda Human Rights Commission vividly telling Parliament that they asked the opposition, most especially NUP, to present the people they claim are missing. And the people refused to come and testify. What do you expect? We have seen the state minister for internal affairs, going to Parliament and telling the opposition, if there are people that are missing, please reach out to us. But all what they do is going on media, calling news anchors, these TV stations, go there to shout. But all that is being done to create publicity for them. We are going through the political season. So as a country, we need to run away from that kind of cheap politics. That we need to focus on how best we can develop our country. That before you think about you as a person, but think about tomorrow. Majority of our people in the country here, all they think about is themselves. If you look at the political parties that we have in Uganda here, they don't think about the wananchis down there. Everything that they
Does
do.
that include the NRM? Because you said political parties, right?
To a small extent, there are some of those elements in NRM as well.
Okay.
There are some of these leaders who still think for themselves. And they don't have that patriotism that our chairman, Moses, keeps preaching about nationalism, patriotism. You get the point, Pan-Africanism. Majority of the people today still lack such kind of elements. But there is no way a country can host. You see, we are having now the non-aligned movement, then the G77 summit. We are going to have AFCON. It was a bid that was asked by that was requested by Uganda, not Kenya, not Tanzania. These other countries all just came to support Uganda.
Pamoja bid.
Pamoja bid. But it was an initiative of Uganda. You get the point? So if the international community had no trust in our country, I'm telling you, there is no way we could have such kind of activities within this country. So that tells you that there is a lot of peace, infrastructure development. He has been talking about roads. I want to implore you, Mr. Nelson, that when you look at the roads, you have been talking about tourism, that when these guests of ours here in Kampala get to move to these tourism sites in the country, there are roads to take them. I'll give you a very good example that the government of NRM has really, at least 90%, we should give it 80% to work on the roads. You just move to Bunyoro. Me, I come from Bunyoro.
It is because government has interest to steal the oil.
Let him finish.
It's not about the oil.
And in the north, also us in the north, you
Yeah, I
can drive
was
all the way to Kitgum on Tarmac Road.
You move to the east.
I am only confirming what he's saying.
There is is it granite or something?
So when we talk about infrastructure development, really the government has tried. It's just that in Kampala here, the population is too much. We have population influx.
So there is pressure on the infrastructure.
Yes, that they work on the road today, you find that tomorrow there is a pothole, which you can't blame it on government. It is about the population. There is a lot of people here. There is a lot of vehicles in Kampala that can sometimes also, and even sometimes the way you use these roads matters a lot. It goes back to us, the people. You get the point. You find that you as a person, government has worked on the road, but how do you use it? You find someone, tomorrow is coming, is maybe even digging a hole in the road. Huh? Does that come to the government? It is about you as a person. So surely we need to thank the government for really putting all these things in place. However, there are some of these loopholes that are always everywhere. I've moved at least in my capacity, I've also traveled to go to some countries. There are things we normally complain here in this country. When you move outside the country, they will tell you people, you are lucky. I was here in Kenya.
Interesting.
In Kenya here, even Tanzania. Some of those people, when you interact with them, they tell you people in Uganda, you are lucky. They even cry to come and stay here.
Sure.
In Uganda here. But when a Ugandan is here, they want to cry to go there. And when they go there, they again come back and they find that here in Uganda, it is actually very peaceful and it is very okay to stay in Uganda.
Just a small information.
Kiirya,
Just a
did you
small
have
information.
an objection? Because we are due for a break. Let me allow Kiirya first. Yes.
I think maybe he would have been specific to some places of those countries he's talking about. But I can tell you that actually the late president of Tanzania made more roads or constructed more roads in Tanzania for around 5 years, more than the president who has been here for 37 years. I think that one can give you, we have, those people have presidents which are patriotic. Presidents who love their country. When you go to Tanzania here, that country in 2000 actually it was regarded as it was actually the lowest in East Africa. But right now it is actually moving at a very terrible speed. As far as infrastructure, you can't compare it to Uganda. I was in Tanzania recently, I think last year, but one. I was in Dar es Salaam. And I was introduced to something like, it is like a train, but it is a bus. I'm forgetting the name, but it is for the wananchi, for the local people. They have their own roads, they have their own trains. I mean, their own roads, and actually they are constructed, they actually made in a different way. So you find that actually the road network in Tanzania, specifically, it is totally far better than that of Uganda. All the routes going to these regions, for example, for us, you have a route from Kampala to Eastern. You travel from Kampala to Jinja, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now in Tanzania, a route traveling from Dar es Salaam to Arusha, it is totally very okay, which you can't find here in Uganda.
But Jinja, if you pass through Kayunga, it's a very, of course, if you use the direct route of Mukono, Mavira, I think yes, there.
Which is the highway.
If you use Kayunga,
which is the highway?
I think it's a clear road.
Which is the
Kampala
highway?
To Kayunga.
Because now, for someone to leave Kampala, he has come from Kiryadongo. You're going to Jinja. Very few people will use Kayunga because they don't know it.
True.
The known road is this one. You understand? So I think what you're comparing about, I think you have not understood it very well. For Tanzania, that one at least I've been there several times, and I can assure you that actually all the highways, they are very much actually constructed compared to those in Uganda. So I think let us try to connect on things actually which are connected. Otherwise, Uganda, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, they are totally different as far as road construction is concerned.
Interject there. You would believe me or not that as a country, to host such summits, big summits, to such in nature, it is about the confidence that the international community has one in our president and the country at large. You get the point? Why? If you look at the president currently, our president is considered as one of the experienced presidents because he has really tried to promote Pan-Africanism. You get the point? Two, if you look at, is someone who likes uniting. Right now, I saw IGAD. Uganda again is going to host IGAD to bring together, is it Ethiopia and Somalia, the conflict between Ethiopia and Somalia. That one tells you the kind of confidence these other presidents have in President Museveni. Why not take it to Ruto in Kenya? Why take it to Samia Suluhu in Tanzania? You get the point. So as a country, we need to appreciate the kind of president that we have. Mr. Kidega, you asked me, does that make the the continuity
of the
NRM? Of course. Believe me, of recent, actually, NRM registered, is it 54%?
In the
previous elections.
I think it was about 61.
And this time it will be 90. Even here, Nelson and Kiirya, they know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
If you move outside there, even in Kampala here, where people had a bit lost confidence in the leadership of President Museveni, some of them who voted the opposition, they have seen what the opposition can do and what the NRM can do. They will tell you, let us continue with our Mzee. You get the point. So the opposition themselves know. Today I saw for some of them calling for a press conference. And before I came here, I saw police heading there seriously. So police has gone there just because they had wanted to cause confusion, to sabotage the ongoing Aligned Movement Summit. They want to cause the chaos, to send a message of sympathy. You get the point? A message of sympathy. What me right? So that these international presidents that are here, they can be able to fund their activities. You get the point? But they themselves know that they lost it through the 180. So that one tells you that people still have confidence in President Museveni, and the continuity will still continue.
Interesting.
As
we continue with that, we also have to
on,
continue to a short commercial break.
Can we get it from
after the commercial break?
Something small.
Okay, small. In a minute,
you remember when Chris Varyomunsi got an attacker in his constituency, which is one of the tourist destinations, and he could not get a service in a regional hospital, which is Kamboga. You remember that? That's what I'm talking. That is the infrastructure I'm talking about. Right now, people in Buziga, in Munyonyo, take hours and hours to plan how to reach Kampala because of the traffic, because of we do not have a modern transport model system. That is the infrastructure I'm talking about. Not this kwara construction you are talking about. You're telling us. There is a modern way of how you need to do things. Yes, I am telling you. So when you're talking of infrastructure, you're talking of almost all these people, you hear them going to Nairobi, Aga Khan, Nairobi, where? You get it. They are running to Dar es Salaam, running to Nairobi, running to Nairobi.
Are you aware that Aga Khan, there is an ongoing construction of Aga Khan Hospital in
Hours, you see, we are talking of Rubowa Hospital, which has taken a lot of money.
I'm talking of Nakawa.
We are talking of
government hospital. Yes. Then I'll give you an example.
Is it a government hospital? My question, is it a government? Why is it that ours in Rubowa is still, on a foundation?
If you talk about how many years? Mulago, which has just of recent, we have had the first kidney transplant. Is it
transplant? Yeah.
Yes, which has never happened. You get the point. It happened of recent.
How many Mulagos do we have in the country?
Well, we are due for a short commercial break, and those questions keep on coming both from the moderator and from the panelists themselves. And also, of course, to you, our viewers, I'm sure you have your opinion. There's a comment section right below this video. Give us your comments. Let's know what you think about the Non-Aligned Movement Summit happening here in Kampala. As we take a short commercial break, see you shortly after.
National Water and Sewage Corporation is committed to providing cost-effective, clean, safe and reliable quality water and sewage solutions in urban centers across Uganda. National Water and Sewage Corporation reaffirms its commitment to 100% service coverage, geographical expansion, infrastructure development, water quality, pro-poor initiatives, customer care and stakeholder engagement, catchment and water source protection. Be a water hero. Pay your bills to zero balance. Report all leaks, busts, and illegal water connections to enable us serve you better. Reach us through our toll-free numbers on 0800 200 977 or 0800 300 977. You can also communicate with us through any of our online platforms or visit the National Water and Sewage Corporation office nearest to you. This message is brought to you by National Water and Sewage Corporation.
We'll be back from that short commercial break. Viewers, and in studio with me, I still have two comrades. Unfortunately, the chairperson of, the president of the Young Democrats had to leave us. But well, we shall continue the conversation with the two gentlemen right here. And Derick, so we are trying to establish and to ascertain, yes, we are hosting this summit for the first time in history. We have hosted CHOGM before. Just the week before this one, we had the parliamentary presiding officers here as well, and others, and other events as well. So how unique is the NAM event? How does it place Uganda? Okay, to what advantage does Uganda seek to leverage on from hosting this event? Are we going to see, for example, a grand improvement on the export of our commodities like coffee? Because I think what should be discussed at such forums is that, okay, how can we negotiate on bilateral agreements or the customs laws? Like, how does this summit then mean that Uganda's coffee will find it easy to go to another country that is within the non-aligned movement? Are those the discussions? Or it's about politics, it's about, okay, how do we intervene in Israel and Gaza? So I don't know, like, what are the tangible benefits to take back home from this NAM summit?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, what you need to know is that this non-aligned movement, it is the second biggest movement to the UN summit. And in this summit that we are hosting, high-class financial individuals. These are presidents, these are diplomats from various countries. Now, as a country, if you are having such kind of people, what we need to do is to create a good PR for ourselves. That we have coffee. How do we sign bilateral agreements with them? How do we market our coffee to maybe India? Like, for instance, we have so many Indians in the country. So how do we benefit as a country to market maybe our milk, our coffee, our tourism sites in the country? So as they are going on there, today they are at Serena Hotel. It is the business site that is going on. So what we need to discuss with them, how best can they come and invest in Uganda? I saw the state minister for investment, Evelyn Anite, tweeting that as a country, we need to focus more on investment. We need to inform these high-class people, the presidents of these different countries, to bring more investors. In Uganda, one, we have a lot of land, a lot of vacant land in Uganda here. How do we convince them? Do we give them free land to come and invest? And when they invest in the country, the young people get jobs. You get the point? So what we need to focus on currently is marketing, creating a good PR. That when they come here, let them not take the bad side of our country. But you know, in Uganda here, I don't know why, we have a problem. Every time we keep crying, ADF, you find people are saying, you heard the Nelson talking about human rights. So we are all over crying. And there is no way such people can come and invest in your country when you are having such kind of issues. You get the point? So when they come here, let's discuss investment. Let's tell them that we have tourism sites like Machizo, that when you go back, at a later time you can send for us some of those people in your country to come for holidays. In Uganda, we have seen it in people going to Dubai. Going to Dubai for holiday. You saw of recently those ones who love soccer. Arsenal going to Dubai that for home weather training. But if we can have Arsenal coming in Uganda here for home weather training here, as a country we benefit. That
Actually, Arsenal visited Rwanda some time back.
Yes, Arsenal has kept visiting Rwanda. Recent Julian Timber was in Rwanda. But as a country, we need to create good publicity for ourselves. How do we convince these high-class people? Does it end on politics? We don't need to keep talking about politics. You get the point? I want to appreciate them that I saw they're having a lot of in-house discussions. But of course, you can't know what they are discussing. Does it end in the house? How best will they implement whatever they are discussing there? It is what we should focus on as a country. That before we ask ourselves that me or you, Kidega, how are you going to benefit from this non-aligned movement? Let's know what is being discussed. If they are discussing about investment, you as Kidega, you need now to start thinking that if a company comes and sets up maybe a food processing factory, what are you supposed to do? You go back to Guru, set yourself a small farm, you get the point? Start supplying that factory. You get the point? When an investor comes and sets up maybe a meat processing factory, you as a person, you go back home and establish yourself.
You know, we have one on that road which failed to get supply of animals. We have one, the Egyptian, company there.
Now that one goes back to us.
And it has a supply of animals.
That goes back to us, that we have failed to utilize such opportunities. You get the point? That the factory is there, but it has failed to get supplies. Why? Because the people are not minding at all. So really, as a country also, we need really to be sensitized on some of these things. That there is a lot of mindset change that needs to be trained to our people at the grassroots level. That when such summits comes, they come to our country. Fine, the government may try as much as possible to convince these people who are here in the country today. But when they come and set up some of these facilities, how best can we utilize them to benefit ourselves? But the only thing you hear among the young people, we are jobless, we want employment. But they can't think of a project to start up their own project that in turn can tap on such opportunities. So imagine, Mr. Kidega, if our president, if all these presidents that are in the country here were to move around our tourism sites with the president as the guide. I've seen it happen in Kenya, whereby Ruto moves out with the guests to these tourism sites. How much it would contribute to the 1 inch down there? How much money would remain in the Uganda here? But of course, such kind of ideas, when you tell them out, some of these people take them for granted. I was sharing it with Christian Brariomans. I told him, but Honorable, do you know that if these presidents come, for instance, on Thursday after their summit, President Museveni just takes them over, like maybe to Lake Albert, Machizon Falls, source of the Nile here, which is just near, maybe takes them over the other side of the Albertine Graben, of the oil side. They just see, they just enjoy the nature of the whole country. I'm telling you, some of these people will go back and be like, no. Even if when they don't decide to invest in the country, like maybe as a country, but they can decide to invest as an individual. But of course, they think that is yours. I told him, but of course now he said, you know, such things, the president cannot be a guide, but it can work. You get it? These people will leave here a lot of money. Now, also when we go back to the PR part of it, I've been trying to follow on Al Jazeera, CNN. This is a very big summit. But none is talking about this summit.
Sure.
So the organizers themselves missed it out. That as a country, what we would do other than investing in these petty things, whereby they are paying a lot of money, people who are ushering, they would invest in the media.
People are pouring water.
Yes, they are investing, they are paying those people a lot of money. You get it? But they would pay media, Al Jazeera to come and cover the summit, CNN to come and cover the summit. That the other man, Biden, who is not here, would be able to see there is something going on in Uganda. Delegates, maybe the Dangotes of the world, who are there, they would see there is something happening in Uganda. But we could be having this summit here when Biden, the president of the USA, when the Dangotes of the world, the Bill Gates, the rich men of the world, they don't know even that there is something taking place in Uganda here. So PR, as a country, we have failed to work on that. We have failed to utilize this summit for our own benefit. You get it? So as really the organizers missed that, Mr. Kidega. Yes.
Interesting. Nelson, we are trying to now look at Uganda hosting this summit for the first time. First of all, did we benefit from previous summits of such a stature like CHOGM? And if we did, were those benefits tangible? Can they still be pointed out to say, okay, because of CHOGM, Uganda is this and this improved because of CHOGM? But with this particular summit, 120 countries making their way to Kampala, what benefit are we looking at? Or what should we be negotiating in those boardrooms as a country?
Yeah, one, when you look at the previous events we have held, there are, you know, for example, some hotels that were built then because of the pressure, you know, CHOGM pressure, they are still in existence. How they were built, the money they used, and, you know, some that was stolen, of course, that is the negative part of it. Same thing. We have a new convention that, you know, convention that hosts about to 3,000, more than 3,000 people, you know, one of its kind here in Uganda. If perhaps it wasn't because of the NAM or these other summits, we would not have such a big convention. We are having, you know, improvements with our airport, but also it puts us to check. It checks our discipline. Those who really want to learn, you know, who want to learn new things. I was telling you, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry understand protocol. Not every, you know, person here in Uganda, even those in civil service, understand international relations and diplomacy affairs. This is the chance that we learn. You know, we learn those skills. It is a skill. Diplomacy is a skill. You get it? That's why I was telling you. Even diplomacy, we practice as Africans, we practice diplomacy in our homes. When a visitor comes, that's, you know, you will try to, you know, to know that you know, there are things that even after a visitor has gone, perhaps you have bought a new cup, it will stay, a new, you know, a new jug, a new, you know, you have renovated, you know, it is, you know,
It
but
stays.
it should be something that, you know, oh, I think I needed to have this like yesterday. And that's what should be.
It should be a sort of
A reflection, a reassessment, as Uganda, check. You know, a reality check. That's what I was telling you, a reality check. Right now, people are stuck in Munyonyo, cannot move. But guess what? If we had our well, you know, model transport system of railway systems, you know, or model, you know, modern bus transport systems that, you know, bring people in the city, would not hear those cries. If we had modern markets where those people on, you know, street vendors are able to be accommodated and, you know, trade their, you know, their commodities there. You get the point. So, but one, the benefit we are having, the image of Uganda is out there. At least you have moved Kidega. Sometimes you say I'm from Uganda and somebody's scratching their head to even know where Uganda is. You get the point. There's that image of Uganda. And that's why I was saying tourism should be one of the industries that should leverage on this conference. Trade and investment should be one of the sectors that need to leverage on this forum to discuss. Yes, as much as we push the forums, I mean the summit's agenda as a whole, but as a host country, there are those immediate benefits and, you know, indirect benefits and long-term benefits that come through. If we are talking about, you know, we are going to have, you know, people, for example, young people, if they get an opportunity. It's unfortunate that, you know, our young people platform, the National Youth Council, was not able to get a chance to have one of the sideline meetings. It would be an opportunity of young people to learn how to interact, you know, on international level, you know, diplomatically. It is a skill. It's a skill. You know, imagine you had a budget being discussed that they should teach ministers
manners.
You get it? It means as a country we lack a skill. So if ministers are being debated to be taught how to sit, how to hold a knife, how to talk, how to engage, what to speak, what not to speak, it is a skill. You have had delegations move here, even from different bodies. When they reach, they will tell you, you know, when you're speaking, when you have a delegation, it is the head of delegation that you give him more time or her more time to speak on your behalf. It is until the head of delegation has pointed out to you that perhaps make an addition, or if the host, you know, puts a random question. But even when there is a random question, even when you have an answer, you give a chance to a few selected people, you know, as per preparations. That is diplomatic and international relations skills. You get it? That's why we are seated here, because we are discussing NAM. We are not discussing each and every issue affecting Uganda. We are trying to to try to see how do we promote our country as, as citizens, because it is not about movement, NRM. It is not about FDC. It is not about ANT. It is not about, it is about the country Uganda. Who we are as a country Uganda. If you are a diplomat out there, you're not treating NRM people. You are treating Ugandans in that country where you're an ambassador. You get it? I'm it's not even whatever, anyway. But there are people who do not understand these issues, and they must be brought to light. So as a country, those are things that we are going to benefit. We are having business forums, sideline, engagements about, during this NAM. Alone, it's a period for the business community, the private sector foundation, to reflect on how to project Uganda to benefit. You see, countries never enlarge in terms of size. What makes them big, as China 50 years ago, it was not the China of today. And it has not increased in size. What has increased is its economy, is its negotiating power economically. That's what has made it a superpower. So we need to be reflecting about it as Uganda, as as we have this we have got this opportunity to interact with 120 countries. How do we benefit strategically in terms of economic, transformation? How do we attract investment here in Uganda? How do we, increase the ratings in terms of, the region is, tourism destination as a country? So all those are issues that we need to look at. It is a reality check to say, do we have services like, how is our medical sector? How are we performing? We are going to have over, heads of state, the head, lead of delegations, ambassadors, and, head of governments. Here, do we have enough services that if an emergency so happened, we could have them, taken care of without interruption? We already have the interruption and disruption because of because of just movement. How about when if it comes to health sector? If we had one of two presidents, God forbid, admitted in one of our hospitals, what would happen? That would we see such kind of disruptions? So those should be the debates, even as government. Now, the other thing to discuss about is how our, do we have functioning systems? The arrangement, the organization of this convention alone should be a reality check of, do we have working institutions? Do we have working structures? Or it is the so-be voice that speaks, that, was able to get a contract, that was able to, to take charge of a certain budget. You get it? It should be a reality check. And as movement, after this conference, sit and discuss what things went wrong. How do we rectify them? If we don't, we remain in the same story. And that should be the conversation. Even as has it called for cooperation? Because this is the moment when, even if you are you have disagreeable ideas, this is a cause that need to bring us together as a country. Yes, as a country, you need to come together. I was, you should be having, people to say, look, we need to package Uganda, because Uganda is not for movement. Uganda is for Ugandans, for citizens. So that should be something that we need to look up to as a country. As young people, I pray that this government can always think to give priority to young people. It is unfortunate that through the National Youth Council, young people of Uganda were pushing to have a sideline forum in this summit, and it could not be granted by the ministry. It's a shame. We shouldn't speak, we shouldn't fear to speak about it, because this would be one of the opportunities to bring to light young people to understand how to discuss global issues, how to push for global policies. You get the point? To learn how you can position your idea at a global scale and it is adopted. It is not easy. In those conventions, it's not easy to even have one line, of your thought accepted as a country. This should be one of the training grounds, platforms, one of the disciplining platforms to us young people who look forward to take charge of our country. Yeah, so it's an appeal to the government and to the ministry that going forward, give priority to young people, give them a chance to learn, especially those who are in leadership. I know there are other young people who are benefiting, but the question is, are they structured? If you deny a structure like the National Youth Council an opportunity, but you are having other people, through the back door, having engagements, in the summit, it means you do not recognize and give credit to formal structures that you have created. Then what are they for if you cannot give them an opportunity to to process and understand and learn and be able to appreciate how global issues are discussed? Give them a debate and give them nurturing, because it is part of nurturing, it's part of capacity building, it's part of learning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we look to wrap this up in like 10 minutes, it is to me the question of is it possible to indeed be non-aligned with the kind of world that we live in? I appreciate there is globalization and all these things, but should we still be discussing, okay, is non-alignment a reality or it is just a fiction? Because is it possible not to be aligned? I think we skipped this at the start, but is it possible not to be aligned in any way, that something will happen between maybe, okay, take the instance of the Russia-Ukraine issue. Is it possible for a country not to say that, no, this is wrong? At times, non-alignment can be seen as, being neutral can be seen as betrayal. That if humanity, if the aspect of humanity is at test, that you have a country that is brutalizing in the citizens of another country and you're claiming to be non-aligned, you're claiming to be neutral. Is it practical today to be neutral with the current reality? Or are we living in I don't know, but I wonder if it's possible not to be allied or to be neutral, or to say, no, but this happened, no, this is wrong. Even when we are non-aligned movement, we side with this. I don't know, like, is it practical in today's world to be non-aligned? I think I'll just be with you.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I don't believe that it is practical to be non-aligned. On paper, it is, but in action, it is impossible. Why? We have seen it even yesterday, that the Palestinian, is it the ambassador or?
Yes.
The delegate from
Palestine
was requesting that some measures should be taken against Israel for infringing on the rights of the Palestinians.
he was moving that the summit comes up with a resolution.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is no way you can say you are non-aligned. You get the point. We have seen it in scenarios like Libya, where Libya was being infiltrated by NATO. A number of African countries, though some of them, because they benefit from these NATO countries, they didn't say much, but some of them came to criticize. We have seen South Africa taking Israel, is it Gaza?
Israel.
Yes, to court against
South Africa did, yes.
Yes. So on paper, it is practical, but in action, it can never be practical. So these countries that they are here in Uganda to discuss, however much they call themselves non-aligned. But to me, I want to believe that they just created this forum for them to always come and sit together to bring their views and seek for maybe lasting solutions on how to help them solve the insecurities that are happening in their various countries. And these countries that are unable, they are able to talk to the other ones that are able to help them out. But this thing of saying that they're non-aligned, to me as a person, I want to believe it is not practical.
Not practical.
Yeah.
Nelson, what do you think? But also, as you respond to that, something else crossed my mind, which is the question of the current reality, where we live in an era of your economic strength really is what determines whether you become a powerhouse or not. So, because again, I'm trying to understand this as much as any viewer out there, is that you know that the European Union, they stand for trade, that we should make trade as easy as possible. If it means having non-tariff barriers, we shall have them. But there should be free movement of goods and services within the European Union. So I'm asking myself, okay, you have now the non-aligned movement. Do we see them agreeing on positions like, okay, can we reduce the tariffs by maybe 10% or 20%? That if a good was coming from Nigeria to Uganda and the tariff was maybe 10%, was this figure, can this agree that we want to make trade now easier between ourselves? Otherwise, it becomes a social gathering. People come, sit, meet, talk, but then we don't find long-lasting solutions to some of our... Because one of the biggest challenges that these countries face is in debt. They're highly indebted because they cannot finance their national development. So is NAM saying that we are going to come up with a NAM bank where member states contribute money to that bank, rather than going to World Bank to get a loan, you now just have to go to this NAM bank? So, like, are these the ideas we expect to come up from this sitting, or it is just like the rest?
Yeah, one, when you talk about being non-aligned, for me, I don't see it as a reality. That's number one. Because at a personal level, really, you're either with them or with me. There is nothing being in the middle. Yes.
Being lukewarm.
Yeah, no, really, that is mediocrity and you know, naivety. You get the point. So one is to look at events that led to the formation of NAM then made sense. But at this point in time, where you, for example, you're having a big, there should be fundamentals that are you shouldn't compromise on,
irrespective of
whichever, as non-aligned, whether you're, non-aligned movement, but there are fundamentals, issues of respect of human rights, push them. But you are saying you respect human rights, and you're having a big state like Russia, for example, invading Ukraine, and you're saying I'm non-aligned?
How?
You're having a big state invading a smaller state for whichever reason. You should have a stand. You get the point. So for me, those are issues that I have at a personal level. That being non-aligned, that concept is a little bit really not reality. Two, as a forum as is, let it be of an added advantage economically. Have resolutions that push a platform or a body, to have leverage in negotiating powers at at a global level. But things will come. You will hear there is one president at a time who said, no, it does not mean that if a country X is your enemy and we are friends, it should also become, my enemies. So it is a little bit tricky at the moment, for me to even understand that whether there is really agreement to what they discuss, or it is more or less of a social belonging kind of gathering. You get it for some sorts of, of these countries. But if they want to take it seriously, they need to really have
firm, bold decisions.
Firm, bold decisions. One, non-negotiable fundamental issues that if they are, we all stand in unison. Then they can also, dissect them or, group them that, okay, issues that do not fall in this category A, then we can be non-aligned. But issues of human rights, issues of, territorial, sovereignty, should be issues that are non-negotiable. We must have a stand. You shouldn't, spread your legs there, on the left and on the right. You do not know where you belong, or you want to belong in the middle. And at the end of the day, you want to trade with this one. Have a bold decision. Be respected of your decision. Yes.
Actually, I think it was Martin Luther King.
You cannot eat your cake and have it at the same time.
Yeah, and have it. Actually, I think it was Martin Luther King who said that in those who keep quiet in times of suppression are in fact worse than those who are committing the oppression itself.
Yes. Yeah. And the time will come when they will come for them, and they kept quiet, and this group was finished. You get it, and there won't be anybody who will speak for them.
True. So we need to be out of here. I'll give us just 2 minutes to basically make your parting shots on this whole NAM summit. It has come to our country, yes, but where does this leave Uganda moving forward? So in maybe 2-3 minutes, you can just give us your parting shots. Yes, Derick first, then.
Yeah, thank you very much. As I conclude, I want to employ all those ones that work for this government, and let them start appreciating the role of the young people that they can do to this country. One thing this NAM summit has taught me is that in Uganda we have a category of people that don't appreciate thinkers, but they appreciate mediocres. When you go down there to Munyonyi, you will realize that a number of young people that went there, they went there on technical knowledge, and they left out the young people that would go there and deliberate on pertinent issues that are not only affecting Uganda, but in the international community. So, as we are there, as we continue hosting these summits, let it be a lesson to the organizers that next time, let's first be well-oriented. Let's be well-organized. Let's create a PR for some of these summits that come. You saw the speakers' conferences that was there in Munyonyi. At least for it, the speaker even actually did a bit of PR than the NAM summit. The organizers of the NAM summit have not done the PR completely, and also, if they have done it on a small scale. So it is a lesson. However, of course, learning is a process.
True.
As a country, we appreciate to continue hosting some of those summits, but the way we benefit, it is a question for everybody. Otherwise, I thank you for listening to me, and I really appreciate you, the moderator, and the production team for the Civic Space TV for hosting me. Thank you very much.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, Nelson.
Yeah, just to say thank you to Civic TV and the Youth Roundtable, the moderator and the production team. And just to say, as young people, we shouldn't lose hope. We can make things work. We can move, mountains. We can, find our voices on the table. as much as, we have been sidelined in a number of pertinent issues where we think we need to have the platform, one, for learning, for nurturing, and mentorship. We should have them. And it should come with ease. It shouldn't come with a little bit of force, with a little bit of hesitation. It should be something that is easy. It should be something, that is easy to think about by whoever is concerned about the future of our country, Uganda. So, for me, I think that all that I look forward to see, see the outcome of this NAM. I pray we shouldn't be, I need to see the Auditor General's report, about this NAM. Let those that have done, that have done wrong, that have swindled money out of this and be brought to book. Accountability is one of the principles. You get that we should not really hesitate to speak about. Let them be accountable. Those who have been responsible, let them account to us. What they have done, the money they received, how they used it, the services they offered. That should be something that we need to, as Ugandans, let's now wait, because the summit is ongoing. We cannot, we appreciate it is ongoing, but our responsibility now is, if it means to use social media, if it means to do, let's call for accountability. Let's dig deep and investigate the kind of expenditure, what they did, what they didn't do, what they did right and what they did not do right, so that we expose the truth behind this organization, this kind of whole arrangement. We appreciate the good that is coming with, that has come with NAM. We condemn the bad that has come with NAM, but it is also a Korean call to government that there is so much that needs to be done to organize our country, Uganda, better. Not to wait until visitors are coming, and then that's when we think of making up roads, fixing potholes, chasing away the border people and the street vendors. Let us have them well organized. Let us have good infrastructure, in terms of roads, in terms of hospitals, in terms of services. In all sectors, let us be to our job. And that going forward, Uganda will be a good country, a good image to promote and trade out there as a Ugandan. Thank you so much.
Wow, interesting. I cannot have a better conclusion for this week's episode of the Youth Roundtable. Dugu Collins, Tumwesige, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, President of the Young People of the ANT.
I'm not the president.
National coordinator.
I'm the national coordinator.
Okay, more or less the leader.
You people, you're used to presidents here and there.
I know.
But we need to make things simple. Domestication is important.
Yeah.
We need to learn that we are all human and
irrespective of the titles.
Yes, what changes is the role I play.
The role you play.
Yes.
Interesting. Thank you for that note. Well, of course, to Kiirya Ismail in his absentia, we thank you for sparing time to be on this week's episode of the Youth Roundtable. To the viewers, that is just it. You at least know more about NAM and what we expect from this summit. But what I can say is, as young people, we need to begin to, find ourselves in these spaces. Begin to put yourself out there. Begin to demand and fight, for these spaces. Because, it won't be handed over to us on a silver platter. Until next week, same time, same place. Bye-bye.